we're talking a lot about research, so it's only appropriate to mention the REU program at Texas State. So you are like, I guess, in transitioning to becoming the new program director for this. It's called the CheMIE REU. It's CHE, capital M, capital I, capital E,
Yeah.
CheMIE REU. I'll give my best brief explanation of this for anybody who might not be aware, but it's a nationally funded program for several universities across the nation, funded by the NSF. And it's basically a immersive summer research experience for undergraduate students where they can travel to other universities. They get paid a $5,000 stipend. It might vary between each university, but for this program, it's $5,000. And like I said, immersive research experience to really get your foot in the door, and see if whether or not this is a career you'd like to pursue professionally. So Texas State has one. I guess due to COVID, they're only accepting students from Texas State, which is special. This is a podcast for Texas State chemistry students, so um, that is something that students could take advantage of as well. But you know, why do you think students might want to consider joining an RU? We've already kind of talked about like it's a great way to learn about research and learn some new skills. What are some motivations you have students consider? Like maybe a student in your class approached you and says, I'm thinking about maybe doing something this summer. What would you kind of tell them as encouragement?
So an RU, like you said, is a good time to just get that experience, and it's not really a big time commitment. This summer it could be if you're doing the CheMIE RAU here at Texas State. If you join a lab for those 10 weeks in the summer, that could turn into something long term for you.
Yeah.
Is one reason that Texas State students should apply. National RAUs are really competitive, and this summer, so many RAUs just either aren't happening or they're happening only locally. And that just means that there are more spots here than there ever have been. We're taking 14 students. Usually it's closer to 10. So there are more spots, and it's only for Texas State students. And then you have the unique opportunity to actually stick with that project after your RAU, which is not what would normally happen. Um, because you'd go to another school and then you'd go back home and
Go
you
back home.
never see those people again. And like you might kind of get your foot in the door. Maybe your name ends up on a publication later if you got some good work done. Um, but yeah, so this one, I think for Texas State students, it's a good opportunity because the competition is lower. I'm not saying that students can't get into national things. It's just the number of students applying to national REUs in a regular summer is obscene. Just a lot of students, and it is competitive because there are only so many spots. Usually, an REU comes with housing and food, but since we are currently in the middle of a pandemic, we can't offer housing, and that's actually why we have more spots. Is because that money was
Uh-oh.
saved, and so now that money can be used to pay more students. So yeah, there's that opportunity in itself. The Texas State CheMIE REU is really unique because it focuses on molecular innovation and entrepreneurship. So if you look at REUs around the nation, you'll usually see that each of them kind of has their own theme, essentially. Like you could find some that are about green chemistry. You might find some that are actually very focused on just one field. Um, you can find them that are focused on polymers and materials. Here, you can pretty much research anything, but you're also going to attend a boot camp at the very beginning of the REU. It won't be spaced out through the program, um, where you learn about entrepreneurship in scientific fields. And then throughout the program, there's also professional development, which is so important as an undergrad. As somebody who recently, read through applications for people applying to the REU, I've read through scholarship applications. I've written letters for students, and so um, I see CVs from students all the time, and getting the opportunity to have somebody help you with your CV is so important. Um, And that's one of the things that you can get, in any REU really, is going to have some professional development. Um, you'll learn about scientific communication, applying to grad school, and applying to jobs. Those are also two big professional development focuses. Um, learning about being a scientist in the industry, not necessarily in academia. That's something that you don't often get to see because you are at school. And so the research experience you have is academic. But we have a lot of faculty members who have industrial experience. Dr. Whitney Weber, who is also going to be doing the RU with me, we're doing it together. We'll be
Mm.
like co-program directors. Because honestly, it's too much work for one person. So I kind of feel bad for Dr. Holland that he's been doing it by himself for a long time. But she actually was at Dow for a long time. And so she has a lot of industrial experience. My only other research experience was at a government lab working at NIST. So these research experiences over the summer gives you time to talk to faculty members and learn about their histories, because most faculty members, they have experience outside of academia, and you just have to ask and find out what you're interested in. There are so many opportunities for somebody with a chemistry degree, and those opportunities are very broad. um, yeah, and you'll also learn about ethics and research. Obviously, ethics and research is really
It's
important.
important.
Yeah, it's weirdly important not to lie in a publication or to fabricate your results. And ethics goes further than that as well. But those are the types of topics that you would cover in a professional development series. I'm trying to think what else.
Well, if I might, I remember when Dr. Lewis was kind of advertising the program to our course. She said, this training or education about the business side of chemistry or STEM is really important, and it's not necessarily something you'll get in like grad school or something. I mean, this is something that you'll either learn through industry experience, or maybe you have a business background in a major or a minor in business, but it's not a very traditional a core component of our education. So being able to take 10 weeks of your summer and really get to know about that, and like you said, learn about some of the stories that faculty here have with their industry experience. Shout out Dr. Weber. She was one of our previous guests on the podcast. She talked about her work at Dow for, at length. So that is really fruitful as well. I don't know. I love startups. So being able to get a little bit more of, I guess, know more of how to carry out a startup could be very valuable if you want to start a business when you're doing your research. Maybe you come up with a cool product. I think that's fascinating, and it's unique to the Texas State REU program. I don't believe all programs across the nation do this. They might have more concentrations than other things, but that's something unique to Texas State, which is also something you might want to consider when you're applying. I think the priority deadline is the end of March 30th, but also you can apply up to the end of April, I believe. So still some time to draft up an application. It's not very long. I've done it myself. And I think you do need 2 recommendation letters, though, from some faculty members, or I think maybe your research, your PI or something. But it's not the most, I guess, thorough application, but it's worthy to get started on it. Maybe over spring break if you can, with the extra time you have.